During the times of the games, the humans of Earth and of further colonies out into the stars have had many encounters with both black and red markers alike. They are not, however, the first species to ever face the threat of the markers. In the second and final part of the two-part miniseries into the markers of the Dead Space universe, we look at their history, as we go all the way back to the earliest known sightings of them by any species, and we look at the massive threat they pose within the modern day. Welcome to the history of the black markers. As a quick precautionary word before we delve into the video, I will be using a lot of terms that I've been explaining in part 1 of the series, which will be linked in the description below. I suggest that you go and check it out before watching this if you haven't already. With that said, let's get into the history of the markers. Although it is still unknown as to where the original Brethren moon came from, or indeed who made it, we do know that the convergence events have happened on multiple different planets and multiple different species since as early as sentient life has existed. Although very vague facts exist of certain early events, the most fully documented and thoroughly studied case is that of the civilization of Tau Volantis, whose history and indeed eventual demise give us some great insight into how markers have been dealt with in the past. By the year 2311, Tau Volantis has already been frozen over for millions of years, and is now inhabited by members of the sovereign colonies. It is after extensive archaeological research conducted by Dr. Earl Serrano that we first fully understood the terrible fate that befell the inhabitants of the ice world 2 million years prior. Tau Volantis was not originally an ice world. It was in fact a near fully aquatic planet teeming with life. Eventually, a sentient species evolved and began to build a rising civilization. Just as with all other cases, the civilizations swiftly overpopulated the planet, and soon the energy sources were either non-sustainable or fully depleted. With their natural resources all but used up, the Tau Volantians searched tirelessly for another source of energy. It would not be long until they found the black marker on the planet, and discovered its near-limitless energy supply. The worship of the black marker became commonplace, and thousands of red markers were placed all over the planet's surface in order to harness the ever greater levels of power. Within a very short space of time, the markers had gained enough sway with the population of Tau Volantis to release the necromorph contagion throughout the planet. The infestation quickly reached the optimal levels to begin the convergence event, forming a Brethren moon from the world's necrotic flesh. During the convergence, a small group of survivors, realizing the impending doom their planet faced if they allowed the Brethren moon to fully form, managed to create a machine that would fully freeze both the planet and the newly forming Brethren moon, bringing a sudden halt to the convergence event. The machine's secondary and arguably most important purpose was to bring down the moon, crashing it into the planet and destroying it. Sadly, the alien species died out before this final process could be completed. Since then, the moon and Tau Volantis remain frozen. The moon, however, is fully aware of its current situation, and calls throughout the stars, trying to persuade other beings to come to the planet and turn off the machine. The Brethren moon of Tau Volantis was briefly completed in the year 2514 by Jacob Arthur Durrock, but not before Isaac Clarke and John Carver completed the machine and sent the moon crashing down into Tau Volantis, thus destroying it once and for all. The event, however, had one significant downside. Realizing the death of their brother, the other Brethren moons awoke from their hibernation and set a course for Earth following the signals sent out from the marker. 65 million years ago, the asteroid carrying Earth's black marker came hurtling down to the planet, landing in the Gulf of Mexico. From that moment on, the marker began to emit signals, guiding certain species, mainly primates, towards living in civilizations. Over time they would become sentient and grow to be the dominant species of the planet, humans. In 2214, the marker began to have an effect on the residents of the Yucatan Peninsula within the Gulf of Mexico. Not knowing fully what was causing this at the time, a research team was sent out, led by Michael Altman. Subsequently, the team discovered the black marker and recovered it from the flooded crater where it resided. As the scientists studied the artifact, they began to exhibit the telltale signs of dementia and hallucinations, and soon a necromorph infestation was released within the research facility. Realizing that the dangers of the markers greatly outweighed the benefits, Altman managed to sink the research facility, including the marker, back into the crater to stop it from spreading any further. Altman's actions greatly angered members of the government, who were already swayed by the marker, and soon 2 government officials were sent to assassinate Altman, recovering the marker's codes, and with it, any research they could get their hands on. Ironically, the mystery that surrounded his death, as well as his extended time spent working with the marker, meant that he became a martyr and figurehead for the newly formed marker-based religion, the Church of Unitology. Using the newly recovered codes, government officials set to work on furthering the studies of the marker, and began to look at harvesting it for use as an unlimited power source, as overpopulation had caused a lot of problems at this point. The sovereign colonies built 3 red markers, each located on separate classified and distant planets from Earth. These were Aspera, Creamer, and Aegis 7. Each of the facilities quickly faced the same problems of necromorphic outbreaks and were forced to shut down. All knowledge of the Red Marker project was equally erased with them. In 2311, research into the markers continued, as the sovereign colonies, aided by Dr. Earl Serrano, wished to find the source of the energy that the markers were receiving. Tracing the signal back, they found the origin and set a course for Tau Volantis. Digging through the ice, the team discovered the thousands of red markers left behind by the dead population of the planet, and soon another necromorphic outbreak was set loose. General Spencer Mayhad quickly issued Scenario 5, which was a failsafe to eliminate everything and everyone involved with the mission if it was to turn sour. After Dr. Serrano had uncovered the secrets of the alien civilization, the Brethren Moon, the Machine, and the Codex, he sent Tim Kaufman and Sam Ackerman to Tau Volantis to recover the Codex. Unfortunately, this resulted in the death of not only Tim and Sam, but also General Mayhad and even Serrano himself. By 2508, the human species now inhabited thousands of colonies across the universe, but still they were plagued by overpopulation and energy reserve issues. This forced humans to go into deep space mining for energy supplies. Forming the Concordance Extraction Corporation, deep space mining became a reality with the maiden voyage of the USG Ishimura. In 2508, with backing from the Church of Unitology, Captain Benjamin Matthias of the USG Ishimura was sent to recover the red marker of Aegis 7. Upon arriving at the planet and unearthing the marker, the resulting disturbance caused the marker to not only affect those on the planet, but also the crew of the Ishimura. After the USG Kellion and Isaac Clarke arrive aboard the Ishimura, Isaac's objective is to return the marker back to the planet and end the infestation. He did so, but not before the marker was able to touch his mind and bestow its influence upon him. Isaac, along with Nolan Stross, who caused another outbreak on the USG O'Bannon using a shard of the red marker, were brought to the Titan station to revive the marker program run by EarthGov in an attempt to harvest the limitless power supply they gave. Their work produced the Site 12 marker on the station. It did, however, result in yet another outbreak. Isaac Clarke, along with Ellie Langford, managed to escape Titan Station before it and the marker were destroyed. Unfortunately, the marker's influence has now spread to nearly every major colony of humans. A radical unitology group, known as the Circle, began unleashing markers amongst the colonies, spreading the necromorphic hold in hopes of causing a universal convergence. After Isaac and Ellie uncovered Serrano's work on Tau Volantis, they managed to complete the ancient machine and finally destroy the Brethren Moon created from the planet. Ellie subsequently returned to Earth, believing Isaac dead. Isaac, however, is still alive, but their actions have not gone unnoticed. as the destruction of the moon has awakened many more moons from hibernation. That will wrap it up for the two-part mini-series into the life cycle, purpose and history of the markers. I hope you've enjoyed following along as much as I've enjoyed making these, and I will be doing more mini-series in future on large topics such as this, where I feel there's just too much about it for one video. Be sure to subscribe and like the video if you did enjoy it, as it really does help the channel out and lets me know what you guys enjoy seeing. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.